What's happening, y'all? This is Todd Wilson with another episode of Elevate Your Game. Today, we have Coach Reggie Morris. Coach is the current head coach of Redondo Union High School down in the South Bay, the director of Team Why Not, 4 CIF section titles, 1 state title. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
All right. Former college coach, mentor to many, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Thank you very much.
So we love to start this show. We look at the wall of hoop movies. What's your favorite movie up there and why?
Like we were saying before, it's so many to choose from. I love Hoop Dreams when I was a kid. Like you said, I was introduced with Cornbread Earl and Me, but I think the movie that kind of really stands out to me is He Got Game. That was my favorite hoop movie. I think looking back at it from like a standpoint of really watching movies, the music connected into it. Just the love of the game that he had and the circumstances that he had to overcome. I mean, and it was just like right at that time of life for me where it just stood out a lot. I really love Ray Allen. Ray Allen's one of my favorite players, and it was a great movie. So I would go with He Got Game.
Yeah, no, He Got Game was one of the, like, man, is somebody really that good in high school?
Right,
it was that moment. And then shortly after we saw,
He was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So that was a really dope movie. And I think all these movies have impact. You said the music.
Yeah.
Another one that really had the music connection was Above the Rim.
Yeah.
With Tupac in it. And then the soundtrack was crazy.
Right.
And so I think I forget about that element to it.
For sure.
The music connection to the movie. Awesome. So we're going to hop right into it. You guys just finished the EYBL session in Memphis. It was the last session before, everything kind of calms down, goes to high school and then on to Peach Jam. What was your experience like? You've been doing this for 6 years now with Team Why Not. What's your experience like this time in Memphis?
Just this time in Memphis, I like that the EYBL does. Sometimes we don't like it because we come from so far away, and from a logistics standpoint, it becomes difficult to travel from west to east. But it was in a different place, in a different city. We enjoyed the energy that came out of Memphis. The facility was great. I thought our team really gelled together. We were able to put some of the pieces together, and we were missing, some of our guys. So Isaiah Elohim wasn't able to play. Some of the other guys, weren't available. But the guys that we did have, they came through. They competed, and we played at a pretty high level. We went 3-2, and weren't able to turn it on in enough time. But there's some ups and some downs. But as a program in general, our program is trending upwards. Our younger guys, our 15s, our 16s, we have the best group of young kids on the West Coast for any travel team. We believe with all of the guys that we have, we couldn't be more happy of the younger group that we have, and our older group competed. So as a program, we still feel like we're in a great place.
No, absolutely. It's crazy to think, we were talking about it earlier. Those 6 years went by fast.
Yeah.
You guys have had a lot of success quick with the program, with your first year, and then some championships in there, even on the 16U and the 15U level, some great teams who, won Peach Jam and so forth. So to be where you are in 6 years is that's a great achievement.
Yeah, no, we have a great staff, great coaches, great logistics people, guys out there. So shout out to the staff. Everybody does a great job. I mean, it makes it easy. You got guys like Mike Law, you got Rabibo, you got Roy, Coach Arturo Jones, Victor Martin.
You started saying names. Now you got to say
everybody.
I got to
say everybody. You got our 2 guys that do, that do scouting and that are AD, does all of the training and stuff. We have a great Coach Cobbs. I mean, our staff is second to none. Darrell's come in and done a great job. We have varsity head coaches almost like at every level. Shelton Diggs from Long Beach Poly, Chris Hamilton, everybody. If I missed anybody, I didn't mean to.
Now we're going to get the list and then call you all out and list them in the description down below.
For sure.
It's amazing. What is it like? So you've been on a couple college staffs, you've run programs of your own. Is running an AAU program, an EYBL AAU program, is it pretty much the same as running a college staff?
AAU, so the reason why I left college was because we hadn't set the infrastructure totally. So I'd be at Pepperdine fielding a lot of team why not calls. And so to answer your question, yeah, it's a lot. So to come back to high school, I wouldn't do it if I didn't have the AAU piece like at such a high level. You get a chance to be around the best of the best. You have to go, try to lock in the best players. You have to facilitate a program that's about something, and hopefully people see that we're the program that's maybe not for everybody on the highest of levels, because we try not to be accessible to everyone. We want to be accessible to the best, not just the best players, but the best families as well.
Yeah.
Guys, people that we can lend our information to, people that we can just make sure that want to be part of what we're doing and do things the right way. So that's what we want to be about.
The right way.
Yeah.
You're speaking to that. I think that's important for coaches to understand, who are trying to reach the levels of being a head high school coach or being an elite AAU program, regardless of the shoe circuit or independent or whatever it is. What does that mean?
The right way is, it's hard to say. The landscape, people always want to use certain things like the landscape is changing, but it actually is. There's a different way there's a way that this thing is going. And, there's a right way and there's a wrong way. We try to be around people who, like, where your actions aren't just all transactional. We care. We have so many people on staff that have so much knowledge and so much information and have nothing to gain other than want to give back to the kids, and it sounds all cliche, but it's true. We want to be around people that want to be around us for our knowledge and our care as much as they do for what we can give them, to give them the platform that their kids need, which the platform is great, but how do you use your platform? How do you take advantage of it? Like I would say, and you said, just nuggets to give to people. Parents out there don't understand that we've seen all these kids, they just come, all the kids, all the families, they just come with different names. Yeah. So with all the experience of the people on our staff, we can kind of look at kids and their situations and their families and say, you are the Johnsons. And that may be from 2005. It may be from 1995. But it's just also just, hey, what can we do to help be preventative, to help people go down the right path? Give everybody a chance to succeed, not just think short term, but think long term. There's so many people who get exploited in the game of basketball. Yeah. And Russell has done a great job. Russell Westbrook has done a great job of giving us a platform to make sure that we don't exploit kids, that we don't have to do it a certain way. So, he's given probably over $1 million over the course of the 6 seasons to just fund the basketball team and the program in a way in which we don't have to compromise ourselves to do things the right way. Yeah. And, everybody we all look after the kids, and we've all been able to take part in something positive. We want the kids to look back and say that they were part of a positive experience, not that they got exploited in any way.
No, absolutely. And I think you can see it from the kids who have gone through it, who still represent and support the program. And that's the best way to see if people are coming back around the program. But also, I think you speak to something, is that the character of the program reflects, Westbrook, yeah. Which is why not, which you coached him in high school. Sure. And, I know it comes from a great family as well. Mm-hmm. And so you've been coaching for a long time. Your first year, you said you were able to have Darrell Wright, mm-hmm. an NBA player, and play. And then right after that, Westbrook came. Mm-hmm. And then right after that, DeLon came. Mm-hmm. And just continuing to grow. Like what was that like, I guess, at 23? Did you know he was an NBA player at that age? I guess evaluating his skill set.
I could never tell you that. I mean, and he'll tell you he didn't know. He was just a kid that was real competitive, kid that would listen and learn. We've all developed. I mean, in the way that he plays, like you say, it really just speaks to how we want our program to be. We're a family unit. We've maintained our relationship. Like even his brother Ray is also a big part of our organization. So he does a lot of the stuff great with kids and that sort of thing. But nobody knew that we would be, and that Russ would be one of the top 75 players all time. We just knew that he was a competitive little guy. And if he ever grew into his body, he would be a really good player. But I mean, he's to be commended. You know, he takes a lot of hits, and we're there to stand up for him. But he's been great to give back to the community and to the basketball world. And when he gets around the kids, he gives them all the information, all the knowledge. He wasn't an AAU guy. He really just played for me growing up. Like, so he'd play on teams here and there, but he didn't get off into playing too much, and he kept his circle small, and he keeps it that way until today. So he's been a great influence for the program and for the kids, and you know, he's a godsend for a lot of those kids who are getting a chance to do it in a particular way.
No, that's commendable that his name's on the program and he actually is a part of it.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
you could see in the background sometimes little footage. I know it's more than just a little piece of footage, and the kids that I've just, you know, talked to personally, like, no, he's actually like, he'll just call them to talk to them and check in on them. I think that's important, especially when your name's on something. Just as a businessman, your name's on something to be a part of it. What was we take somebody like a Westbrook, and you know, you hear he didn't dunk until his senior year, and like the details of his development phase. You know, me as a player developer, I always tell kids, you're on your own path. Just work hard and follow the script that we always talk about. What determines, I guess, the difference from somebody who has that potential that actually makes it, you know, to the highest level or even college, to someone who just kind of withers out with the wind?
Oh, I'm a faith-based person. I think it's all in the cards. I think God determines all those things. But in a day-to-day capacity, I think you have parents who do believe that they can put their kids and kind of make their way. And at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with that. All you can do is put your kid in the right environment, and you have to let your kid face the fire. You have to let them go through it and put them in situations where they can fail in not necessarily comfort, but they can fail with support.
Yes.
Because you'd rather kids fall while they're in younger stages and all the lights aren't on them, so that they learn how to deal with those failures. Once the lights are on and you try to puppet them through and get them through to where they don't feel any adversity, at some point they're going to feel adversity, and you'd rather them feel that adversity at a younger state where they're still supported and they're still loved, instead of when they get thrown out there to the wolves and then, you know, they feel that adversity for the first time, and it's like, you know, they don't know what to do or how to act, and you know, the world's not as kind as people who are looking out for your best interest.
100%. That's the word. You guys hear that every single show with every single coach or a trainer or somebody who comes on here, is that the adversity is what builds a man at the end of the day. You know, we're dealing mostly with young men and young women, but that's that adversity and being a support system around that. What do you communicate to your parents to give them the education on how to navigate this? Because like you said, it's changed, the landscape has changed. And I think mostly because of how the parents' level of accountability and lack of understanding of what this process looks like to become a college player.
Dealing with parents can be, that's the part of the landscape that I enjoy the most and I enjoy the least. You have unrealistic parents, and you have people who do things, like we said, for the right reasons and for the wrong reasons. You know, some things are monetarily based. Some things, sometimes you have parents who are living through their kids. A lot of times you just have parents that really care about their kids and they just want to see the best, and you can't fault them for that either. But all in all, just try to let them understand, put your kids with people that you trust.
Yes.
Put them with people that, you know, that can give you information, that have no gain out of the situation, and just trust that whatever is meant to be is going to be. It's going to be on the kid at the end of the day, how much work they put in, how fast they're able to adapt and learn from the information that they're being taught. It's a lot of different factors in it, but at the most, you just need to find people that have a track record, that are proven, and people that just genuinely care about your kid. Like, is your kid doing his homework? Is your kid taking out the trash? Like, are you making sure that kid, when they go places, say please and thank you? And then all those things kind of tie back into basketball, you know, just being a well-rounded person. And we can find somebody to teach you how to dribble a ball and shoot a ball. And then you need to be trusting of those people who are doing that too. Like there's a time where parents have to kind of let go and let the coaches do it.
When is that?
When is that? Probably high school, depending on like what high school you put your kid at. But definitely working in both venues and avenues. You can't go to college telling coaches what you think their playing time should be or how you feel. Like very few people have the floor to speak in that way. College coaches make millions of dollars to do their job, and they're going to do what's best for their teams because they have their families to feed. So, you don't want to be the parent or the family that their reputation precedes the player.
Man.
Because a lot of times people will look at those parents and those families and say, I like the kid, but I don't want to deal with the family. So, you just want to be the people who put your head down, that work hard. You don't want to just be taken advantage of either, but at the same time, you have to have faith that you put yourself with good people. So do your research up front.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's good. When it comes to development, right? So your father was a coach, so you've been around the game probably your whole life. Yeah. You're played in college, coached. How has the development changed? Right. I know there's some obvious ones with everybody being a skills trainer in America. Mm-hmm. But what's the balance now of actually knowing the game versus knowing the skills of the game?
I think the balance is like flip-flopped. So when we were growing up, there were guys who knew how to play, but they weren't ultra skilled. Now these kids are all ultra skilled. Everybody has the same game. Everybody uses the same moves that every trainer teaches. I think there's been a loss. I think there's a place for getting your skill work in, but there's also a place for you got to let kids play to find their own game. Mm-hmm. I think there's not enough, like you could put a ball down with kids in the gym, and I do it sometimes just to see, like as a litmus test, who picks the ball up, who plays, who does drills. The kids are when they're so directed in everything they do. Everybody needs to find themselves. And then, there's, for whatever reasons, people don't play a lot of pickup anymore. Mm-hmm. They'll play with older guys where older guys are their coaches, and they have to learn how to play in roles. Everybody's dad, uncle, somebody has a team. So mm-hmm. there's a role given to them. Right. I think that there was value when we were growing up. You went to go play at the park. You went to go play at the Y. You play with older guys who told you if you want to get on the court, this is what you have to do to play. Yep. These are things, that was a good shot. That's not a good shot. I think that was in-house coaching, and then you found your way. I think kids need to use the skill work of today and the athletic training of today, and then we need to find venues to get some of the older ways of letting them play, figuring out what their game is. How does that connect to winning? Not just playing, mm-hmm. playing in AAU on the weekends. We got 4 games. We lose today, hey, we'll be back tomorrow and play again. So what are we playing for? Are you playing just to play? You playing to win? What are you playing for? So I think all those things need to be held into account.
No, 100%. That is where I find it most, because I'm a skills trainer, right? I'm a developer. And so I have one kid where I don't think you need to teach him any other skill. Mm-hmm. He literally knows as much as a basketball skill book can teach him. Mm-hmm. And it was very obvious this week where I was like, man, he just needs to go hoop. Mm-hmm. He just needs to go hoop. He doesn't understand what he has because he has all the tools. He doesn't understand how to use them on the court with high schoolers. Mm-hmm. And it was, I asked you that on purpose because I needed to be checked about, hey man, don't skill out somebody mm-hmm. at such a young age where they're not having a balance of knowing how to play basketball. Yeah. Even though we add in drills and we teach them how to read, we teach them IQ within our training. There's nothing like gameplay. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like, I want to bring like a 21 back. Yeah, that's what taught me how to play. Right. 21 was it. And like you said, there was stakes. Like you missed a free throw, you going back and mm-hmm. you got to hit the mm-hmm. shot to win. And if you lose, then we do push-ups or something. It was always something, you for something. Or like above the rim, bounce, what mm-hmm. they call it. I don't know nothing about that. That's always stuff. But I think that's super important to hear from a coach on your level that balance needs to be there. Mm-hmm. And what is a way that maybe an AAU coach, you know, we have these club teams with the young, especially younger kids, middle school, how can they implement that into what they do now? They see these kids 2 times a week for 2 hours a week. You know, what can they do?
I think just sometimes you start off with the skills, and then you just let them play and put consequences on losses, like you said, and see who's going to be able to rise to the top, what it matters. You know, sometimes move the teams around. Don't let the kids pick their own team. Put the best player on the team with the kids that aren't as good, and let him see if he can find his way to do that. So a lot of times the kids nowadays, because we watch it in the NBA, everybody wants to play on stacked teams and wants to play on all of these teams where they have all the advantages. Like, no, like there's a value. I remember when I was younger, because my dad was a coach and I could do all the skills, they would always play me up. So when I was 8, I was playing with 10, 11-year-olds. When I was 11, I was playing with 13, 14-year-olds. But I always tell people the value of playing up is tremendous. However, there's a value to playing your age group as well. So you play up sometimes so that you see what it is you need to do, and then you play your age group at times so that way you learn how to dominate. You don't learn how to fit in. You know, when you're always playing up and you learn how to fit in, you become a role player. Yeah. You take those different lessons and you mix them all together. Play them your age group so you do dominate. You do back and forth. So there's different ways to do it. I mean, everybody has their own methods, and shout out to all of the skill trainers. I mean, it's great that kids are learning how to play at such a young age. Basketball is becoming a thing. If you don't get in by 10 years old, you're almost behind. And it's no old stories. I learned how to play in 9th grade. Like you can't do that anymore.
I started playing when I was 13, and I was a late bloomer with it, but still competitive, you know. And like you said, it's interesting because as a trainer now, if I find a kid who's 10 and 11 that never touched the ball, I get excited because there's also a lot of bad habits built in them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you are committed to this,
we can get you, because the passion involved. Yeah, passion. And
you see it with NBA players, actually. A lot of them don't start their kids with serious training until later. They get it. They get it, and they understand development. You take so Katino Mobley's son just started playing a year and a half ago. Awesome soccer player, all that. But his growth in this year and a half, he's hanging with kids his age already and understands the game at a different level because of he's not being taught any
bad habit.
No nonsense. Yeah. You know, I don't even like the little 5-year-olds playing basketball. Like it's cute, it's fun, it's exercise, but it's like, and they're like really trying to coach them. I'm like, man, leave them kids alone. Yeah. Just let them run up and down, fall in love with the process and the game and the movement of it. Sure. And so. But there's something to what you're saying too, is that you better get in it early. It's like finding that balance is crazy. I don't even know where to start with that. Yeah. You've been watching the NBA playoffs at all?
For the most part, I watched some games.
So, all right, so we have the finals. You have Denver did a pretty decent job against Miami this first game. For sure. How are you feeling about game 2?
I like the Heat. I mean, I just like what they're about. Denver, super talented. You know that. They have all the athletic advantages, but it's something about just the heart of a team and the will of a team. I think the Heat always find a way. Just when you look at the roster and you have a bunch of guys that are playing to get, put the chip on their shoulder. Yeah, I think I always like to see those teams succeed, and so I'm kind of rooting for them to win.
Yeah, no, I see. It's what you explained. You said put the best guy with the the lower level guys in practice. So that's Jimmy Butler in Minnesota.
Yeah, in Minnesota.
And it's kind of what he's doing. Not that anybody on Miami is a lower level guy, but a bunch of undrafted, unrecognized talent, guys who play their role or superstars in their role, and he carried them to the championship. That Eastern Conference Finals last year, championship this year, and hopefully he can go get it. But Jokic he's a bad man.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
He's a bad man. So you have the Heat to win the finals?
I don't know. I don't want to jump out and make a prediction.
You have to. We on the show.
Well, that's what I'm rooting for. So,
all right, cool.
I'm rooting for the Heat to win.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a part of our show. It's called My Rushmore. It's top 4. Your top 4. Today, our topic is top 4 Black college coaches of all time.
Top 4 Black college coaches of all time. That's a topic that's dear to me. That's like role models, guys that I looked up to, guys that I wanted to play for growing up. So I'd probably start with Nolan Richardson. I love the Razorbacks. They played an exciting brand of basketball. John Thompson, of course.
Yeah.
I met him he was a friend of my dad, so I met him when I was younger. So always a lot of respect for him. John Chaney, just looking at him, no nonsense, and guys really want to play for him. And it could go a whole bunch of different ways. I put my dad in there. He was a college coach for a while, but also a guy that I worked for, Lorenzo Romar.
Yeah.
One of the best people that I've ever met, and like a mentor to me, looked out, and just a good person all the way around and a good coach. So those would probably be the guys that I lend my hat to or tip my hat to.
Yeah. No.
Who you got?
I got a lot of yeah. So actually, Romar is in there. There's no particular order, but Romar's in there for sure. I was always been a fan of him when he was at Washington, and then he was recruiting a couple of players that we worked with, and just I guess the comfort that you feel when you shake that man's hand is different.
Highest character of people
ever. He really cares about, hey, how's your family doing? And he knows he knows that I have a wife and 2 kids, and like, oh, that's awesome, and like just that piece of him. And then I watched one of his practices, and I was even more impressed. The detail, and you can see how he's developed so many pros over the years and continues to do that.
Yeah.
I like Leonard Hamilton right now for coach over at Florida State. Same reason. He just develops pros. Like he has a system. He has a knack for identifying talent that isn't developed yet, and in short amount of time or having them for longer years, he knows how to develop them.
That's a good one.
Love the system. John Thompson for sure. I read his book.
Okay.
Oh man, and I already liked him because Georgetown and all the beautiful things that he did there, and how he pretty much changed the game for Black coaches at the time. And that's 3. Man, I don't want to miss anybody. I'm thinking
4 is tough.
4 is tough, and that's why we do this, my Rushmore thing. I've been stuck. This is the 2nd time in a row I've been stuck. Yeah, I'm about to go Chaney. Yeah, just because I'm not stupid and I know who. So we're going with Chaney. So no, it's important, I think, for us to see as coaches someone who looks like us doing what we do, and I think it's important for all coaches to see that. I related to even as simple as my daughter, like being at a school where she sees other people like herself. She came home one day asking for a ponytail, and I'm like, baby girl, your hair don't work like that. The ponytail you asking for doesn't work like that. And I was like, man, she doesn't see anybody like her asking for hairstyles that she can have, with the curly hair that she has. And it was like, it's important. And then for his coaches, like reading John Thompson's book made me realize how much I needed to just hear that and see that the impact of one person who's doing something out of the ordinary, who looks like me, even though I'm light skinned, you know what I mean by look like me, but man, it has a huge impact on what you do and what you can envision yourself doing. So those are probably the coaches who had the most impact on your life. If you had to give a coach who you were mentoring any advice about coaching, what would it be? So you could be on somebody's Rushmore one day.
Man, that's tough. I want to say coaching is a thankless job, and people don't understand that. Sometimes young coaches coach for the wrong reasons. They see, you got a shoe deal, or you coaching these big games, and a lot of this stuff comes with many years of being unheralded, unseen. Russell's team, when Russell was a senior, our shooting shirts were pro clubs. We had pro club shooting shirts. So now people see, blue long sleeve thermos.
Oh man.
Yeah. So people see, you got this and you got that. Like it was many years that went into it before we got into places where, okay, now everything is good. But you're a leader, you're a teacher and a mentor and a builder of young men or young women. That's what your job is. you know, the basketball comes in a certain way, and there's different things. Anybody can do X's and O's, but shoot, sports are a lot of times a lot of people's first job, you know. So you learn a lot about teamwork. You learn a lot about being on time, punctuality. You learn a lot about just being accountable. Those are things that all come from playing sports, and coaches teach you those things. In high school, the kids spend more time with us than they do with their parents.
Yep.
So a lot of times, like, just know as a young coach, what are you doing this for? Try not to get caught up into the fame. Like my dad asked me all the time, well, not all the time, but when I was a younger coach, are you coaching for fame, or are you coaching because it's your calling or your purpose? And, you know, being a coach isn't necessarily a job. It's a calling. Yes. So if it's your calling, you need to treat it as such.
You're going to make me go and get a coaching job. Stop it.
There you go.
Stop it. Love it.
Oh, no, it's a place you're mentoring kids in your way too. So it's all about helping the kids and giving them, you know, the cliche, be the person you wanted, that you needed when you were growing up. So
there's a part of me that, you know, as a player developer, you know, kids come and go. And even with the core program, you know, they're here for a couple years, most of them around 2 years or so before they go into high school. There's a part of that high school side, though, of playing for something and building a legacy and a culture around it. Like, you know that your teams are going to play defense. That's it. We know your team's going to play defense, and then, you know, you're going to execute. And there's something to that where, as a developer, you know, I know my kids are going to be prepared for high school to be able to navigate the game and be varsity ready quicker than most kids because of the things that we teach. And that's cool for our culture. But that calling and that purpose, it just, it hit me. So if y'all see me as a head coach one day, it's Reggie's fault. Awesome. And then I was going to ask this because I don't know this about you, but I know this about you just because of what I've seen from the distance from you. Is what do you do for personal development? Because it seems like you're always getting better with some part of yourself. So what is it that you do? Books that you read from, people that you're around? What is it exactly?
I think just knowing that I want to win. Like, I want to win. I want to be successful. So I just try to, I mean, coaching, teaching, it's all copycat stuff. It's looking how people do things, asking questions, like never getting too full of yourself to think like you have the only way to do it. So, you know, my teams traditionally will pick up full court play, pressure defense, but the state championship team that I had, we played totally different. You know, we were asking this question, us as coaches had this conversation a couple weeks ago. Like, is it more important for you to win and be right and win your way, or like, what's more important, to be right or do things your way, or to win and to adapt? Us as coaches, particularly high school coaches, you don't get the same type of players all the time. Some years it'll be, you know, you have one set of kids, another year, you know, and you get a chance to grow them and they all get a chance to learn. But even as you start to do things longer and longer, you kind of, as coaches, get bored with, I've done this the same way for 10 years. Let me try something else, you know? So the pandemic year, we played zone almost every possession of the year, which isn't common for any of, well, our teams will play some zone, but it was something different. It was something like, hey, let's try something. So not being afraid to try, not being afraid to go out and ask people and put yourself in a vulnerable place. Like, somebody, even a park coach, may know more than you at something that you just don't know, and being open to all of the suggestions, and like you said, reading books and watching videos, but just trying to be the best coach you can be.
That's good. That's awesome. I think that's the missing key for a lot of these kids, is that personal development side. Because us growing up, we had a lot of mentors and people giving us those things, where they have social media telling them what to do and whatever else they're into. And these coaches, the younger coaches, are part of that generation as well, where there wasn't that strong
mentorship
voice. And so that self-development, where are you getting your nurturing from? You know, that water to grow the plant inside of you. And so I think it's great for young coaches to hear that even you with, you know, the amount of success that you have already and the success that you're going on to, that you're still growing as well. And that's important. So there's a segment of the show we call Where Were You When? Okay. We hop in our DeLorean, we flip it back to a moment in time. We actually have two moments in time that we're going to get to today because I think both they're unique. They're heartfelt, and you remember exactly where you were during these times. I remember where I was for one of them. Other one, I was 5. So the one when I was 5 years old, we're gonna go back to when Magic announced that he was positive for HIV, and shocked the world because he was in the prime of his career. Yep. Right, just signed a 30-year contract with the Lakers, which is wild in itself. But where were you? How did it impact you?
I can remember being in the backyard playing basketball, and, you know, it wasn't social media. And I can remember just hearing, like, my grandmother told me, come in the house, Magic's about to make an announcement. Like, oh, okay. Back in those days, in the mid-90s, shoot, the Lakers were everything. And Magic, you know, was a big part of all of our lives. Just we were all influenced by Magic, and just hearing the information and coming from outside playing basketball and listening to that and not really knowing too much about the whole HIV epidemic and those type of things. It was real confusing. I was probably like 12 years old, I think, and 12, 13, like somewhere in there in middle school, I can remember. And it was a real tough couple of days, like trying to process all of that, like, you know, from a basketball standpoint, like a guy that you really respected and you really looked up to. And then from a life standpoint, it was just a lot of emotions. It was kind of the day that basketball and reality touched, and it made basketball a real thing. And it made, you know, like these guys are more than just superheroes. They're people too. So it was a lot to process.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. Like I said, I was young, so I don't remember that moment. But I remember watching the documentaries about it and all those things. And it's just like, man, what he went through himself too, right? Not, you know, like you said, HIV was a new thing. And so it was like people didn't want to touch him, and players didn't want to play with him. And like that part of it became, I'm sure, real for him as well. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's awesome to see how much he's overcome it. Like, we don't even connect Magic to that moment anymore, even though we did for years. We connect him to his success as a businessman, and what he's done for the Black community, and what it was for the Lakers, and, you know,
Dodgers too.
Dodgers, and he just bought a piece of the Generals.
The Commanders.
Yes, the Commanders. Oh, my bad. I've said it wrong too. The team in Washington that plays football.
Right.
And so now it's just good to see, like, somebody having a traumatic and, you know, moment, and him to overcome that as well. It's good to see. Yeah. Our second moment is probably near and dear to everybody's heart, is the passing of Kobe.
Sure.
That's definitely, I think everybody can kind of reflect and remember the moment that you heard. And so what was that moment like for you and the impact?
Oh, man. The Kobe moment I can remember like yesterday. So there are some people who are huge Kobe fans. I'd say I'm a pretty decent sized Kobe fan. Like I really had a lot of respect for Kobe and just how he played, and just everything he was about. We were on a trip up in Napa Valley going to see like a tournament at Prolific Prep. It was me and Mike Law and DeAndre, the two guys that helped a lot with the recruiting. And it came down on us, and it was like, this isn't real. Yeah. And then your phone just started ping, 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 ping. Yeah. It's like, this is real. So I think the Kobe death and the way it happened, just with it being so sudden and so tragic, so many people kind of resonated with it. And I think what it is that people all want to be great at something. That's their goal. Everybody wants to be great at something. And I think Kobe, just when you look at how he prepared himself and his will to be great, I think just people could resonate with the fact that, oh man, he was all about greatness. And just by being a fan of his, they then too became linked to that greatness.
Mhm.
Everybody like kind of looks at the process of, oh man, he was this and he did that, and you know, the early mornings and the summers were no pickup and just all play. And you know, Kobe is synonymous with hard work, dedication, greatness. And I think a lot of people resonate with that. And I think a lot of people were impacted because of the fact that they too felt like they were part of that journey. You know, whether you just watched them on the couch or you told your kids what he did so that they could get better. And I think it was just like, man, another time where basketball and reality really set in and people really were impacted by an athlete and how much they touch people in different ways.
Yeah, no, it's I was in my house. My family had left to go on a family trip without me that I didn't want to go to, but they went on a family trip, and I remember seeing it, and the source that I read it on wasn't like reputable.
Mm-hmm.
And so once again, it was like, that's not real.
Mm-hmm.
No. And then, you know, you hop on Twitter and you start seeing it and seeing it. And I'm like, this isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't real. That's what all I kept saying. Nah, this isn't real. And so then I call one of my mentors, Chris Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
who I know he would know, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
connected in the league. And he's like, yeah, bro, I think this is real. And just broke down in tears, actually. And I don't know, I think it was because I know the impact that it was about to have on the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because this person that we all, you know, we just have respect for at minimum, and, you know, love and all that kind of stuff with, is just like, man, like, if it could happen to him,
Mm-hmm.
it could happen to anybody,
Right.
type thing. It was
Right.
like that superhero, like Kobe's a superhero.
Yeah.
You know, he's a superhero to us, and something so tragic can happen that quick. And I was supposed to actually go meet him maybe in a month or something. You know, he had over at Mamba Academy, and so he was doing some stuff, and I was connecting it. He was like one of those people on my list. Like, you know, I met LeBron. I seen Westbrook shoot, and, you know, been with D Wade. I've been with some guys, and he was one of those ones where I was like, man, I gotta meet Kobe, especially because I was a Kobe basketball hater for 10 years, right?
So who'd you love instead of if you hated Kobe?
Oh, Vince Carter, man. Vince Carter's my favorite of all time. I know. Hey,
you threw a curveball with that one.
Yeah, no, Vince hands down was growing up. Man, he just the way he just dunked on everybody. So I had a 45-inch vertical. I could jump back in my day. So back in my day, and so yeah, no, I was a huge Vince Carter fan.
Okay.
And you know, there's a couple other players. I mean, my GOAT is LeBron.
Okay.
But it was that's what, I don't know why it was Vince, but Vince did it for me. Man, that man could jump over humans. It was crazy to me. But yeah, no, that was definitely a emotional moment. And I think it was because I was alone too, right? Like, I'm in my house and I ain't got nowhere to go. Was it COVID?
Mm-mm.
It was just about to be COVID. And so things were like weird in the world already. So it's feeling weird, but yeah, no, that was that moment. So, love what they have done since, right? They're keeping everything that he's done, his foundation and his family, and they seem uplifted and all that. So continuing prayers for the family and everything that Kobe has done for this basketball world. So, there was something, I'm adding a new segment on the spot. Okay. Because I thought about this, because I think it's going to work. We're going to call it Flip the Script. Okay. What question do you have for me? If you can ask anything. So.
Good one. I guess what do you see that kids, 7th and 8th grade need to learn the most in order that you've shown kids in order to get them ready for high school? Like, I guess that'd be from a skill place and from an emotional place. Like, what are they dealing with in order to get the most out of kids as they get to high school?
Number one would be, I tell them to have a pro mindset. They need to understand how serious this game is, how serious they need to take it, and how serious their parents need to take it. when it comes to playing on the levels that they want to play. I there were a lot of kids who want to go to the high level high schools, and the coaches aren't just taking anybody. That's how it works when you in Southern California. The coach could just tell you no, public, private, like pretty much they can say you're not going to play here. And so that pro mindset is showing, like you said, those little details, showing up on time, how you're eating, you know, what are you focusing on your game, the film, all those little things. From an emotional standpoint, I always touch mentally, emotionally, physically, and actually spiritually as well. The emotional piece is being able to be coachable, and that means being coached by anybody, and you know, eating the meat, spin out the bone. I think that's the toughest thing for kids, because I grew up, my mom yelled, cuss at me. Like, yelling and cussing doesn't impact me at all. It's like, no, that's just how people talk, right? Sorry, mama, I'll put you on you on camera now. But she, you know, so I could take that. That like didn't impact me. It actually probably pushed me to be better. Like, oh, they're serious. I need to go. Where these kids, you know, gentle parenting has entered the world, and it's a real thing. Me and my wife have discussed it, and I was like, yeah, you can go ahead and be gentle if you want to, but I can't. They ain't gonna listen. Now, she doesn't gentle parent, guys, but it was a real discussion at one point. And I'm like, okay, they're not gonna respect you, because they're gonna respect me. You know, our job is to bring them up in the way they're supposed to go, not bring them up as our friend. And that piece is what it is that they're not prepared for the level of coaching they're going to get and the adversity they're going to go through, because they're being safe. So go through the fire early is my thing. I said, let them go through the fire now in middle school. So in high school, it's a little bit easier. In college, it's even a little bit easier. And those are the kids who are most successful, who just have a ironclad mindset of that and emotional stability. Physically, I tell them, if you want to play varsity right away, there's two things you got to do. Or I say three, actually. Let me say three. Play defense, meaning you have to be able to guard and rebound in your position. Guard and rebound in your position. Don't turn the ball over. I'm not telling you to be some, you know, baby Kyrie. Just don't turn the ball over, and you got to be able to shoot. If you can do those three things, it's almost impossible for you not to play varsity, because you need those three things in the game. Every single play.
Almost two out of those three. You don't even have to have all three of those. Yeah,
and that's the thing, is like, if you can do it, even if you're a smaller person, a smaller guy, and you're trying to do it. Now, physicality has a lot to do with it. And especially in Southern California, you playing some of the best kids in the country almost every night in some of these leagues and tournaments and games. You have a warm-up showcase for high school next week with, you know, how many teams are in the 12, 10?
Shoot, we have probably about 24 teams.
And they're all probably top 50 in California.
All top 50 in California.
Just playing on a weekend in June. And so that's the basketball at least Southern California is up against. So that's definitely what I try to teach the parents. That's actually why I do these, is that the consulting side of this is, parents, I want to give you that information of what to expect. Kids should not be playing AAU ball if they're in high school in June. If you're doing that, stop. AAU coaches, if you are holding practices during June, stop and call me and let's talk about it. You're not supposed to do that. Yeah, that just happened. So we're going to post that tomorrow. It happened. But awesome. Anything? So you got a 24-second shot clock. Anything that you want to let the people know about, or anything that you want to leave information with?
I guess all in all, basketball has just been a blessing to my life and people around me. I appreciate everybody who's been a part of that. My dad has played a tremendous part of that, both my dad and my mom, but my dad is my mentor, like you spoke about. Just mentorship is just so underrated. The social media piece you use, that's crazy. I mean, just that you were spot on. So many people just have access to kids now. And I think we all need to, as a young person, need to find a mentor. And as experienced coaches, we all need to find a younger person. So just what's your calling, what's your passion? How can we give back to those? The parent issue is one of the main ones, and parents want what's best for their kids. So we all as coaches have to be mindful of that. But remember, parents, you are the ones who a lot of time lead the way, and your kid could miss out on a great experience just from the fact that you may just be a little overbearing. So use people like Todd. You know, you have sounding boards everywhere to just ask questions. I know you get a lot of questions, or you don't, and you want to just like grab people and say, hey, like just listen to what's going on. So I think we always need to be better listeners, better learners, and just know that, you know, this basketball thing is tremendous. It's given us so many opportunities to make a living for ourselves, to impact people, and it's a great thing. So let's just remember what it's there for, and just continue to be loving and just as impactful as we can to one another. Let's just be the best people we can be.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you again for coming on the show, my brother.
Appreciate you.
We'll see you guys next time. Peace.